Hi, this is Mary with Insect Shield, and I'm really excited to be here with Ricky Wysocki, a new partner of Insect Shield, and we'll get into to it a bit later about exactly what we're doing together and why it's so exciting for both of us. But first, I want to introduce Ricky. And so, Ricky, you are the number one disc golfer in the world, correct?
Yeah. So I'm currently ranked number one. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I won the disc golf tour championships that we had this year as well.
That's amazing. And from what I gather, you've tour 5-time player of the year,
Mm-hmm.
6-time major winner. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you know this stat because I was doing a little research.
Okay, cool.
So you have won 125 out of 383 tournaments you've played in. That's a 32.6% win percentage. Were you aware of that? I
was not, but that's a pretty cool stat. Definitely.
Okay, well, here's where it gets even cooler. Michaela Schifrin, who just became like the number one skier, she's now tied Lindsey Vonn. She's got a 35.1 win percentage. You're at 32.6. Serena Williams, 30.4. Roger Federer, 28.1. And Tiger Woods, 20.8. So you are with some elite athletes. Yes, your win percentage. Isn't that cool?
That is really cool. That'd actually be a cool stat to kind of put up as like a graphic. That would be really cool. I think we should probably do that.
You should. I thought I saw with Michaela Schifrin because it happened, and they were talking about elite athletes. I'm like, let me check. Ricky lies in there. So you are, you're second in that list. So
that's pretty
very
cool.
Impressive, and you're still quite young, so you got a lot more to go.
Good. That's great. Thanks for sharing. That's really cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could just tell us a bit about your background and how you'd gotten to disc golf and, your growing up years, just a quick synopsis would be great.
Yeah. So obviously my name is Richard Wysocki is my real name. And I started playing disc golf in about 2009. And I played all the mainstream sports, I guess you would say, like basketball, baseball. Those are my go-to sports in middle school, high school years. And then eventually, early on in high school, I went to the local course and fell in love with disc golf, and just started playing disc golf all the time. I would go to the local course, practice sun up to sundown, and then eventually I talked my parents into homeschooling me just so that way I could have more time to play disc golf and not spend as much time at school. I would get my schoolwork done in the morning, knock that all out, and then have the whole rest of the afternoon to play disc golf. And so that was really what created the skill set that I have now, was just the fact that I was able to be homeschooled and spend more time than most kids my age. And so that really set me apart.
And but that takes some time, because there's an interesting story that I heard you tell about your father really thought a different sport, as in baseball, would be the way he thought you should go. So what did you do there to change that?
Yeah, so it was my dad was the All-American dad that wanted me to play baseball, go to college, play baseball, and potentially have a career in the major leagues maybe someday. But for me, I just kind of lost the passion, and I just found disc golf, and so for me, it was like when you don't get your parents' approval, you kind of want to go out there and prove to them that you can make something work. So that was how I approached disc golf. I was like, all right, well, my dad's not really approving disc golf, because at the time, disc golf wasn't really there was no money in it. There was no sponsorships. There really just wasn't as much recognition as there is now. It's obviously grown a lot since then. But back in those years, there was just, my dad didn't see a future for me. So I kind of had to create the path and pave the way for my career. And then my dad's, and I kind of like use that as motivation to gain my dad's approval for my career path. And so that was kind of a huge motivational path for me in the beginning of my career, is just, I want to play well. I want to make a name for myself in the sport. So that way my dad gets me his approval. And of course, he definitely has now, but it was cool. It was definitely a big motivation in my early years to gain my dad's approval through my performance.
And then, so you said you started playing in 2009, but then you turned pro in 2010. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I started playing in the beginning of 2009. So it was I guess you could say like late 2008 to the early 2009, right around in there. And then, I turned pro in 2010. That was my first pro event. And like I said, I just started practicing and playing so much that I just escalated through the amateur ranks real quickly, and then started feeling comfortable in the professional ranks at the local tournaments in my area. And that's really what paved the way, like I said, to turn pro in 2010.
Right. And then even pro, you probably moved up pretty quick because 2012 was your first player of the year. So in 2 years, you're player of the year. So you were pretty much a wonderkind coming through the ranks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was actually I think I'm still the only player to win. 2011, I won Rookie of the Year, and then I followed it up the next year with Player of the Year. So nobody's ever done sports. So yeah, it was that's a great accomplishment that I'm really proud of. And like I said, I attribute a lot of that to just the dedication I had, and it went all the way back to my school. I was in high school, and I dedicated myself to the sport and practicing as much as I possibly can. So, that meant, getting homeschooled so that way I could get my work done real early in the morning and then have just all day to play disc golf instead of, like most kids, they spend a lot of time at school, which is great learning and stuff. But, for me in my head, I was thinking like, all right, well, that's taking away time from disc golf. So I want to optimize as much time as I can.
No, that's So you're 20, so 2012, you're player of the year. And at this point you're playing, are you going all over the world and playing, mostly in the US? Kind of when did you kind of get up to that next rank when you're traveling everywhere and making it full time? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I think 2011 was my rookie season. And that was kind of like, just kind of to see where I was in the sport. And I was able to obviously perform and play really well at a lot of different events. And so that sparked my interest in 2012 to just keep with it, keep practicing, keep training, and really just dedicate myself. And then 2013 was really the year that I really started traveling a lot all over the country. I played tournaments. I think I probably played 25, 30 tournaments, anywhere from playing in states like Vermont all the way to Oregon, California. And then eventually I went to Japan. I went to Japan, Australia, playing the Australian Open. I won that in 2014 is when I won the Australian Open.
Nice.
And then, and then Japan Open, I also won that on my 21st birthday. That was really fun experience.
So cool. I don't think I didn't realize, I mean, I know Europe's really popular, but it's everywhere at disc golf. Yeah.
Yeah. It's growing all over the place. I mean, yeah, Europe is the most popular of the countries, but we have majors in Japan, we have majors in Australia, and it's growing worldwide. It's really, at that time, the sport was really just starting to make a name for itself, and a lot of people were really taking note of it. So I was pumped to go to their countries and win their biggest tournament they had.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, okay, so everything's great, life is good, Ricky Wysocki, number one, playing, just living the dream, and then talk to us what happens in 2019 when you run into a tick. And tell us the story of where you were and all of that.
Definitely. Yeah. So fast forwarding to 2019, I obviously was touring every year. I was, year in and year out, I'm traveling, playing tournaments all over the country, all over the world, really. And then, 2019, I made a trip to Europe, and I was playing the European Open, and I made a trip to a country called Estonia, and was doing some demonstrations, doing some clinics in Estonia. And I ended up getting a tick and pulling it off, and basically not really thinking anything of it. And then I got back from Europe probably and then I would say probably 3 to 4 months after, probably 3 months after I got the tick, I really started showing like symptoms. Like I really got fatigued. I was playing tournaments. I got really fatigued. I was like didn't have any power in my shots that I normally do. So I lost all power, super tired, and I just felt off. And then eventually I started getting all the rashes, all that stuff from the Lyme disease. So I'd contracted Lyme, but it was just kind of laying dormant in my body. And then eventually, through stress or whatever may have caused it to kind of come out and really just show its head. I was getting all these symptoms and debilitating symptoms where I couldn't barely stand up. I definitely couldn't throw a disc.
Right.
To the point where I was bedridden. Once I started showing all the symptoms, I was probably bedridden for 2-3 months. And so the whole rest of that season was pretty much done. I wasn't able to play tournaments, which means I wasn't able to, gain points for player of the year, any of that stuff. So pretty depressing time for me. And so that's when I had a disc golfer buddy of mine that was a nutritionist, and he had actually fought Lyme disease before. So he was like telling me, hey, I can help you out.
Sorry to interrupt, but were you did you go to a doctor and they diagnosed you immediately? Like, so you didn't have, because I know there's a lot of stories of people, it's like they never get diagnosed or it takes years.
Right.
So how did you get your diagnosis?
Yeah. So I did the blood test and I did all that. So the Western blot test, I did all that stuff to which is what they test for when you think you have Lyme disease.
Mhm.
So I tested positive, and it was totally positive for it, which I guess in a way is lucky because some people, test for it and they don't actually
Right.
see it in the test, which then they
Exactly.
don't know how to approach what's going on with you.
Right.
So luckily, and not that I wanted to get Lyme disease, but in a way, I'm glad that we found out what it was because
Right.
some people don't, like you said, some people don't catch it that early, and so yeah, I got
And did you
diagnosed with it.
think back? Sorry, and did you think back to the tick when you started to feel poorly? Did that break come in your head afterwards? Yeah.
Yeah, so once I pulled the tick off, I'm like, all right, a couple days went by, I'm like, all right, I'm fine.
Right.
And then fast forwarding to 3 months went by, and then I started feeling the fatigue, started getting the rashes and all that stuff. So I guess I'm kind of lucky in that way also, where I actually started getting the symptoms, the rashes, the fatigue. That's all Lyme disease symptoms. And so I was lucky that I showed that because some people don't show the symptoms either.
Right.
And so it makes it even harder to diagnose what actually is going
Right.
on.
And you connected it to the tick too, which is, not everyone would too. They would think something else because 3-4 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, you would think that it would, but some people can get a tick and then not show symptoms for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
It can lay dormant, and that's why it's so hard to diagnose that.
Exactly. So then, okay, so you were saying then, so you were diagnosed and you know what's going on, and then you're in bed, you're struggling, you're trying to find some care, and then you were saying one of your friends was also a nutritionist who had Lyme disease?
Yeah, so he had nutritionist. He's got clinical experience in treating people with Lyme disease through basically natural ways like changing your diet, eating the right stuff, taking the right supplements, all this whole game plan. It wasn't just one thing or the other. It was a wide variety of different things. And so I basically went on his protocol, went on a strict, cut out all processed sugars, processed food, junk food. And I just ate a strict diet, organic, clean meats and clean vegetables, smoothies, that kind of stuff. And in addition to a lot of different supplements and all that stuff. So that I was on that. I'm still basically following that protocol just because so I'm still working with that same nutritionist, and it's been about, 3 years now and almost going on 4. And so that's been really working. It's been, a blessing to have him go through what I went through. So anytime if you can have someone to fall back on their previous experiences to help you through the future experiences like he did, that was huge for me. So I was super thankful that he's able to formulate the game plan and keep me healthy.
And you have to, I know because this last summer you had a small relapse, so you have to stay on top of it all the time. There's no rest from Lyme disease.
Yeah, no,
chronic,
Lyme is basically a lifelong thing. But the one positive thing that I found is that it forces you to eat healthy, take supplements, which you should all be doing that anyway.
Right.
But it forces me to not ever be able to really lapse.
Right.
And not stop, fall off the train, start eating junk food, and then maybe the Lyme's going to come back. And so it just forces me to be strict and disciplined, which, being a top professional athlete, I should be doing that anyway.
Right.
Treating my body right. So for me, it's not really a negative. It's something that I should be doing anyway. And the Lyme just basically forces me to do it because I know if I do everything right, my body's going to be good. I'm not going to have flare-ups, and I can play and perform at the highest level.
Right. No, that's so. So I guess so it's great. So obviously, it's horrible you got Lyme disease, but then it did, kind of. And a lot of people I've talked to and read about, they knew things happen in their life. It changes something, but always trying to find a positive out of a negative is, I think, and to be a professional athlete or anyone, if we can do that to keep going, is important. Because the mental part is just as much as if you think you're just going to be tired and sick forever, then you're going to be tired and sick forever. So it's important to
definitely
have that attitude. And so then kind of just talking about us, Insect Shield to you, we're really excited because you're going to be partnering with us and helping to spread the word. Because, if any sport, I've been trying to think, disc golf has to be one of the top, the top or one of the top of people coming into areas where there's ticks. So, just, you're in parks, in forests, in areas where just deer are running around during the day. It's just, there's not like a ball golf course that potentially has a lot of pesticides on it that are keeping kind of insects at bay. So the disc golfer is really, at risk, and keeping, ticks away. And, we also, mosquitoes and other, and ants, there's, red ants that can really harm people. So, have you seen since your diagnosis, so like more awareness, or you're talking about Lyme disease? Do people come up to you all now and ask you more about like ticks and what they can do and Lyme disease prevention?
Yeah, I think that, once I got hit, it was like a reality check for a lot of disc golfers. They're like, all right, well, this can happen to anybody,
Right.
So I think I've turned into like an advocate for it. Prevention for the most part is a lot of disc golfers. They see me and then they want to say, hey, I saw what you went through. What can I do to prevent getting that?
Right.
And so I use my platform, and I'm glad I can, partner with Insect Shield, you guys, and be able to have a great product to be able to spread with the disc golf world that can go out there and prevent what I went through.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be huge. And like I said, a lot of people are paying attention to my story and everything that I've went through. So that way like I said, because most disc golfers know that there's ticks out there. Even if you haven't got bit by one, they're always right there. We play in bushes. We play, like you said, trees, long grass. It's all our perfect course, and our perfect terrain is also perfect for ticks. That's the bummer. But
exactly.
So yeah, I think that, over the years, I'm really embracing the role of being an advocate for Lyme disease and Lyme disease prevention through ticks, and through partnering with you guys at Insect Shield.
Well, that's awesome. So, well, thank you. And so you'll be, this spring when the season starts, we'll be kind of doing more with us. But I was just going to show everyone like just a couple things, because we've got our Insect Shield spray, spraying your shoes, spraying your bag, a really easy way to protect from ticks. And then just, Insect Shield socks. Socks crawl up. So if you can, if you're, playing the course, walking along, always checking down in that lower area against ticks, it can just, keeping the ticks off is that's the number one thing to preventing Lyme disease. And there's a lot of other diseases that ticks spread depending on where you are. And, it is a myth that Lyme disease only exists in like New England. I mean, you got it in Estonia,
Europe.
and it is all over the US.
In every state.
Oh yeah.
No, pretty much every state you can get it.
You are. I mean, I was one, there's so many people like in California, they've gone to the doctor and said, I was bit by a tick and I think I have Lyme. I'm like, well, you're in California. And they're like, well, there's a lot. I mean, there's just a lot of, there's so many myths about, where ticks are and how they, and who they're biting. So
for sure.
It's absolutely, it's a global issue. So, well, are absolutely thrilled to be working with you, and thank you for giving us a little introduction to you, because the disc golf, it's like we're super psyched. It seems like such a wonderful community of folks, and I mean, you're number one, so it's like it's awesome, and we wish you the best for the next for the 2023 season too.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be great partnerships, spreading awareness, spreading the product with our disc golf community. I'm sure they'll be thankful to be protected.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ricky. And we will be seeing you soon.
All right, thanks.